So over the next 90 minutes or so, we're going to be exploring the 4-H farm and home safety program, including ways you can engage in your club and community on safety initiatives, and explore the importance of being safe in everything that we do. All right, so I just want to begin with a quick round of introductions here. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jarrett Chung-Smith. I am a youth development specialist with the BC Ministry of Agriculture and Food. I work closely on a number of areas with 4-H BC on several programs, one of them being the 4-H Farm and Home Safety Program, which we're going to get into a lot more detail as we continue on this evening. We're also pleased to be joined by a special guest presenter tonight, Jenna Tracy. So Jenna is joining us from AgSafe BC, where she serves in the role of a safety advisor for the Lower Mainland. So welcome, Jenna, and I'll be turning things over to her in just a few moments here, and Jenna will share a little bit more about herself. So I just wanted to share this agenda to give you an idea of what we're going to be covering this evening. So in a few moments, like I said, I'll turn it over to Jenna, who has a great presentation set up for us. And then we'll transition over to the 4-H BC Farm and Home Safety Program. So we'll cover areas why farm and home safety, why it's important that we are talking about these topics, what safety awareness looks like in 4-H. We'll go over some of the 4-H BC provincial safety initiatives. So you might be familiar with some of those already or engaged with those. We'll talk a little bit about the Safety Awards Program, which is a great opportunity for members to further their learning and safety and earn 4-H awards doing so. And then we'll wrap up with sharing a few safety activities that you can integrate right into your 4-H club. So now that I've introduced myself and welcomed Jenna in, I wanted to get to know you guys a little bit better. So you'll see a map here on my screen. I'm going to ask if you can use the annotate function. So you should see a pencil icon. And if you want to just make put a symbol or write a word or anything to just indicate where you are joining from tonight. See a few here. Okay, we got some people joining in the Fraser Valley, Kamloops, Okanagan. Riley's in Kamloops, Okanagan, I see. The Kootenays are present tonight. Awesome. Great to see the Kootenays here. Vancouver Island. Looks like you're in the south part of the island there. Based on that, Marks. That's great. I personally am joining from Vernon, BC tonight. So I'm in the Kamloops, Okanagan 4-H region. All right. Okay. Perfect. So that's awesome to, oh, and Reagan in the chat, can't find the pencil, but you're in Kamloops. Awesome. So great to see we have good coverage across the province. Of course, 4-H BC is truly a provincial program here. So awesome that you're able to join from wherever you are this evening. Okay. Okay, so with that, I will pass things over to Jenna.
Rockin' and roll. Okay, everybody. Hi, thanks for having me here. So I'm from the Lower Mainland, so that's why I didn't use my fancy pencil either, because I was going to do an introduction. But so yeah, I work for AgSafe, which is an awesome organization. So we're actually a third-party company that's funded through WorkSafe BC. I'm sure everybody's heard of them. So yeah, WorkSafe, for example, would go out to a farm or a site. They would do an inspection and they would issue potential orders if there was things to be fixed or just some suggestions. And then our name would be on the contact list. So contact AgSafe and we'll help you comply those orders and we'll make you guys as safe as we can. We provide training, documents, policies, procedures, all that kind of stuff. So we're here to help you guys and farms whenever we can. And we're located actually all over BC. So we have advisors down here in the Lower Mainland, and then we have consultants all up within the different regions of British Columbia. So that's really cool. So if you ever need any help or have any questions about anything at all, just feel free to go to our website and you can send an inquiry in there and they would be happy to help you out. So yeah, so here are some of the things here. I just wanted to show you here some of the tools and resources that might apply to you, might not apply to you. It might apply to somebody maybe you work for, or that maybe somebody you know. Or yeah, if you just want to go and have a read on some awesome safety stuff, feel free to go on here and have a look. So yeah, this is just kind of a summary of what some of the basic things that we offer. So I thought today would be a good time as well to discuss some with hazard assessments and controls, like I said, on your farm or on your site or wherever you're working, because every day it depends. It doesn't matter where we are at home or on site or in the farm or dealing with animals, there's hazards all around us. So it's great to be able to add more tools to the tool belt, I always say. So if I can look for different things or have different ways, or maybe I'm so used to looking at something every day and nothing's changing, we can become a little complacent within our work and just in our everyday life. So I think just having a little bit of a knowledge on what we can look for in different ways and how we control those hazards is a really good tool to add to our tool belt. So that's what I say. It's cliche as it sounds. They're always beneficial. So we're just going to go through a couple different slides. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, we have a little question period at the end, or like Jared said too, you can raise your hand and then you can just ask if you need me to stop or something. So I thought this would be a cool exercise, and you guys probably know a lot more about this than I do. But this is actually from the WorkSafe website, and there's a lot of things going on here, but it's just an image of what you can see, a farrier most likely, or somebody working on the site. But there's actually quite a few things and different hazards in this picture. So if anybody can see anything, maybe post it in the chat, or you can put your hand up and we can go through this together. I just thought it would be a fun activity. I have a couple of these, so it may look like a lot of people's work sites, because I know I go to a lot of sites and I'm like, oh yeah, there's certain things that we wouldn't look for. But if you want to go ahead, Riley, you're on mute. Yeah.
Oh, there's lots of like stuff that you could trip over, and it looks like there's like a toolbox open and stuff.
Yeah. Great. Regan, are you wanting to say something, or are you just your camera on?
Sorry, I was just typing in the chat. If that's
oh yeah, well I got you cornered now. So
yes, you do. I was just noticing there looks like there's a real sharp hook on the wall.
That's right.
On a little shelf there on the right hand side. That looks really dangerous.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything to chime in? There's quite a bit, and it would seem very normal, but like, do those hay bales look like they're pretty sturdy, or no? What about, I even see like the electrical outlet by the door there, and there's like water trough being filled there. It may not be the best thing to have electrical and water close beside one another, right? Like, just certain things, or how the halter is a little bit too large for the other horse that's in the stall. There's a bit too much slack within the line, so actually the horse can put its leg over top of the line. The farrier is in the wrong position, in a very good place to come in contact with the animal, and he's actually in a really bad posture as well. Anything else?
The alleyway is very narrow.
Mm-hmm. So what would that
pinned against the wall if the horse
right.
were to turn, or if he were to kick, you would have no way to get away.
That's right. Yeah. Great job. Okay, let's go to our next one. This looks like my father-in-law's farm, to be honest. I almost thought they got that picture from there, but I don't think it is. Yeah. Can anybody identify, or anybody want to chime in and see if they can find anything here? Riley, you did so good the first time.
Thank you.
Do you see anything going on wrong here, or things that could improve here?
There are two people like over by the door, and there's also a tractor that's like driving towards them.
Mm-hmm. Does it look Yeah.
And the pitchfork is kind of in a bad spot.
Perfect place to get whacked in the head with, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there more than one person on the tractor?
Yes.
Mm. And I also see maybe there's somebody on their cell phone looking inside of the barn, and he's not really looking what's going on overhead, like the hay bale going up the line there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't notice that.
Jerry can tipped over in the grass. And one of the biggest things I actually didn't really notice, but I would look for was, sorry, Regan, go ahead.
I'm just noticing there's a, looks like a jack on the horse trailer
Mm,
on the front of it. That's
Yeah.
probably not blocked or, you know, very stable. And then
Yeah.
that fellow's bending over, that he's not using his knees, and
That's
that's
right.
bad posture, like
Yeah.
you were mentioning before.
I
Yeah.
also noticed the guy with the ladder there. He's wearing sandals, which is
Oh, they're
probably-
Oh,
perfect.
is he?
but-
My
Perfect
picture
foot
didn't put it-
attire. Yeah. Perfect footwear for doing that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's another spot. I don't know if you can see, actually, maybe it didn't get captured in this picture here, but the overhead lines. Can everybody see that? Or did it not? Yeah, so I don't know. That may be a problem. It may not be a problem, but like lifting the bale up with height and stuff, right? Like that could come in contact with it. Hey, Julia.
Hi, sorry we're late.
That's okay. So yeah, those are all, things that we may see every day, or that you go onto a site and you're like, oh, Joe's just doing the same thing, or yeah, here we're here to help. But it's like, no, there's some things there that could use improvement, right? That we can see, and maybe we can control how things are done a little bit safer for everybody, because it could be one thing could happen and go wrong, and it could be like catastrophic. It could be really bad. So yeah, those are the 2 slides there. Just want to get this out of the way. So I just wanted to go over what the difference between a hazard and a risk was. So a hazard, you guys can read there as well, but hazard, anything that can cause harm. So an example, different chemicals, different products like that, electricity, which we were shown there, some ladders, and what the difference between a hazard and a risk. And a risk is how great the chance that someone will be harmed by the hazard, right? So those are things to look for as well every day. So if you think on your farm or on your site, can you think of any hazards that exist currently? Can anybody chime in? And if they think of anything and you don't have to come up with something. I just wanted to ask, like, you may not be afraid, or you don't want to get anybody into trouble or something, but if there's something that you've seen maybe in the past, maybe not now, but you've seen something in the past that you're like, yeah, that wasn't a good idea. I'll tell you a story after if anybody else wants to chime in.
It's Michelle here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Michelle, we can.
Oh, perfect. I was just going to say, from some of those videos, like I'm from a beef club, and you see the pitchforks and stuff hanging out of the wheelbarrows and alleyways all the time for people to trip into,
Mhm.
or they're left in the wrong spot and they slip down and slide down, so they're laying across the floor and nobody notices. Things like that happen a little more than they probably should.
Yeah, for sure. I once worked for a man who insisted on wearing Crocs all the time, but then all of his workers were required to wear steel toe boots, and he would go out into the site all the time with his Crocs, which I'm sure I do. Like, I let my chickens out in the morning with my Crocs and stuff too, or whatever. But, he was trying to give them in trouble for wearing other shoes other than their steel toes. I'm like, well, until you're wearing your boots, you can't really give them in trouble, because they're just following by example, right? So that's one of the biggest things too, is lead by example. If you see something, or if you see a pitchfork, like Michelle said, on the ground, just pick it up and lay it up. And it might be you doing it for a while, but eventually, it may stay up, or maybe somebody be like, oh, that's not usually supposed to be down there. It's supposed to be sitting up against the wall, right? So those are just good habits to get into in our everyday life as well, at home and at work. so a question I have for you guys as well. So if a visitor who had never been on your farm came to visit, what would you tell them to be careful of? Is there anything like site specific? What would you tell them to look out for? Or would you be like, hey, welcome to the farm, go for it? Or what would you guys say? Any takers?
Hi there, Riley's mom here.
Hi, Riley's mom.
Hi, I was just gonna say that on our farm, I would probably tell, we have a beef ranch, but we also have a farm stand that's out front. And I think the first thing that always comes to mind, just because we have people coming and going from the farm stand, would be to tell them to maybe not approach the livestock, because I mean, that is a very common thing that happens. And yeah, we have to constantly be telling people and having signage up.
Yeah, for sure. And some people just think it's cool to pull over and take a picture, or let's feed them. But sometimes we don't want them to be eating that kind of stuff, or they might go at you if you have your arm and then get pinned up against the fence or something too, or you never know, right? So.
Absolutely. And another big one is stacked up square bales, and, you know, having people thinking, okay, well, let's go get a quick family photo up there. And, you know, you're thinking, oh my goodness, what happens if the little ones fall from there? So yeah, no, you're always on edge with that kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
happened at the farm like one time.
Yep.
Like, but no one fell, thankfully.
Thankfully.
Yeah. And it could just be one thing, right? Something could slip and it could just, that's how they happen. And that's why they're called accidents, because they happen, right?
What about closing gates that are closed and leaving gates open that are open?
That's one of the things that we're talking about a little bit in my slides here too, Reagan, is
Okay.
actually that's fine, but that's great. That's a great point. That's one of the biggest injuries actually with farms is gates. Crazy how many accidents there are with gates. Well, it's inevitable really, but it's all just, it's safe practices, right?
Mhm.
So like Riley's mom was saying too, like, how do you control or lessen those risks? So again, they have to put signs up, you know, or like if somebody were to be coming on site, do you do a quick little orientation? You know, maybe is it documented or not? It's kind of specific to every farm, site specific, right? So you could give them a little rundown. Hey, don't go over by the manure pit, or hey, we have hay being delivered today, so watch for the trucks coming in, or, you know, just different examples like that. Just very things that are everyday and that are normal for us that we deal with on the farm. Somebody might not be looking for, might not be paying attention to, because they're in a hurry to get their job done and they have to get out of there, right? So different information that you want to get across to your audience and to people on your site to keep them safe. So here, what we were talking about, Regan, too, like, so see, these are some of the most common hazards on the farm that we deal with, right? And I'm sure you guys do as well. So different types of animals, from livestock, from like the dairies to the beef cattle to horses to pigs. I've been chased by sheep before, like everything. So I mean, it could be any type of animal. Tractors, mobile equipment, gates, farm equipment as well, like trailers and different attachments. And one of the biggest things that we find is chemicals. So with animals, especially with what I've been hearing right now too, like with Riley and Riley's mom, with your beef farm, what are some of the controls that you guys currently have in place with dealing with animals as a hazard themselves? What are some examples can you guys give me?
Signage, definitely fencing,
Cattle guards.
cattle guards. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Can't think of any off the top of my head right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. It's so different controls and how you can like mitigate the hazards as well. So, and just watching different animal behavior, like for you guys as well, but for other people coming onto your site, but for you, like, what are some controls that you have in place with like your family, or some, you know, people coming over, the kids' friends coming over to the farm to check out the new calves being born. So what are some things? So watch, you know, always monitor the animal behavior before entering the space, right? You just don't ever know. Sometimes they're like us. Sometimes they're just having a bad day. You don't know. Ensure you have an escape route, like what Regan had noticed on that pathway in the stables, just in case of an emergency. If you need to get out of there, What's your quickest route to get out? Never put yourself in a situation that aren't comfortable with. When in doubt, ask for help, right? Some of us feel nervous, or we don't want to let people down, or we don't want to look like we don't understand what we're doing, but just ask for help, because it's always a better and safer thing to do, right? And make sure someone knows where you are always. Working alone is a very dangerous task. Even if it's a quick check-in, or, hey, I'm just heading out to the barn to go do this, and I'll text you when I'm on my way back, or I'll radio you, or, you know, if I'm not back in 20 minutes, I may not have contact, but maybe come looking, or something's happened, right? So those are all different kinds of controls maybe that could be put in place when it comes to animals. With tractors and mobile equipment, anything that you guys can think of, any controls that would be put in place on your farm or on the sites that you go to?
There are these hay bale lifters on the ends of tractors at the farm, and sometimes they put tennis balls on the end of them because they are very spiky and sharp.
Don't want to get speared with one of them, or if in case you walk into it too, like sometimes I go around the corner and I've walked into the corner of something, you don't want to get hurt, right? Yeah. Another big thing too is ensuring that equipment is inspected and maintained, you know, just so that there's no breakdowns, things are properly taken care of. Are the seatbelts working properly? Is there a roll bar over the tractor, if it's the tractor, you know? And only ride in approved buddy seats, just like that other picture I showed you. They were going for a little cruise. Some people just think, oh, just hop on the back and go for it. But what if the PTO started to engage or something like that? It's terrible. Things can happen, right?
Something I just had a conversation with the other day and that we fixed was the steps climbing up into the tractor has little slats.
Yeah.
And it's not, I guess, really dangerous for people, but it is for puppy dogs.
Oh,
And so we made little plates to put over the top of it. And since we did that and told a few people, I told 3 people, and 2 of the 3 people had stories to tell of the broken legs on the dogs
oh
from
yeah.
the dogs climbing up into the tractor and getting their feet down in.
In the crates of it, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's a good,
not safety for people, but animals.
well, and I love animals too, just as much as people. So I mean, I'll make those notes down and tell everybody at the farm, be like, you should, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe
safety
2 out
first.
of 3 people knew of a story of
Yeah.
a dog that broke their leg. So, and I'm
That's
sure if
crazy.
you were a vet, you'd hear about it. Tons of
Way
them.
more,
and real
yeah.
lot. Yeah, but
For sure.
I never thought of it.
No, I wouldn't have either, actually. So thanks for bringing that forward.
Mhm.
So gates and equipment, here's another one. So some controls for the closing the gates, make sure that equipment or whatever gate you're operating. So make sure equipment is properly guarded. So that's what we were talking about before too, was make sure the ROPS is guarded, or make sure they're, you know, anything really, if it's any sort of attachment, make sure that the belts, everything, make sure there's proper protection on there so somebody can't stick their hand in, if it's in use or not in use. So again, one of the biggest things too is being aware of where you're standing when the gate's open and closing. Are you going to be pinned, or like if they were to trample or come through the gate, like what would be your way of access? Could you jump over, or are you not going to be able to have time to look for that? So those are all big things too, right? So again, it's just to keep your eyes open for different things, and to be aware of your surroundings at all times. And maybe there is a control that you can do immediately to rectify something from happening. So if we can do that, then even better. So chemicals, this is one of the biggest things I see too. People just, you know, go out, or even me, I didn't know what a safety data sheet was for the longest time. I'm like, well, what's that? I'm like, oh, you know, Windex, even you have to have a safety, you know, like that's a bit far-fetched, but you know, or let's just throw those in there, or we can put that over there, and oh, just put that over in the corner of the barn and it's close to the hay, and then that gets spilt and then that gets put on the animals, or we handle things in not proper handling procedures, right? So A story about that, actually, it happened on our farm. So my husband, he would be upset if I said this story. Make sure he's not paying attention. He had some coolant and he had put it in, was it coolant or windshield washer fluid? So it was blue. So he had poured it into a Gatorade bottle that was empty in our garage, in our shop, which was on the farm. So he had poured it into the Gatorade bottle and put it aside. So he used the Gatorade bottle to squirt it into the truck because it was easier for him to reach over and pour it in that way. But my son saw a Gatorade and he saw the blue, thinking, oh, someone has left some delicious blue Gatorade. He took a swig of it and he took a sip, and he's fine. He spat it out really quick, and anyways, he went to the emergency and he was okay. But I always tell that story because it's so easy for something to happen, and that was just Gatorade. I would have thought, and you can't even really give him in trouble for it because, you know, my husband got in trouble, but not my son, because it was just a simple mistake. So I like to share that story and how important it is for labeling, you know, like if you pour something into this container, is that really what's in the container? So just to keep an eye on those things as well, right? Proper storage, have adequate ventilation. Sometimes we get so, oh, you know, just open the container of that and you take a big whiff and you're like, whoa, you get a little lightheaded. It's like, well, how many times does that have to happen before you fall over? You know, and wear proper gloves, wear a mask if you need to, even though we're all probably tired of wearing masks of COVID, but wear the proper PPE that's required to use that product. So those are some of the biggest things that I've seen on farms, mine including my farm. So yeah. So anyway, that's kind of a little rundown on some of the hazards, that the most common hazards that we see on farms, and some of the controls that we suggest farmers and employees and kids, anybody, to just to look for and take some time, right? Just take an extra step in safety. So yeah, that's kind of it for me. It's kind of touch base on a couple different things, but yeah, if anybody has any questions or any feedback, I'd be happy to answer. Jerry?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'll let
Yeah.
everyone, if they have any questions, to give them a couple moments if they're typing that, or throw up your hand and we'll get to you. But one question I had, if anyone has any questions after the fact, or wants to get your opinion on some hazards maybe that they see, what's the best way of contacting you?
Well, you can contact me directly through our AgSafe website, and just ask to speak with Jenna. My phone number is there as well. Or you can even just send an email, and our lovely office people, which Lucas and Trevor are very, very good at directing where they need to be, and like the consultants up in your guys' regions as well, they'd be happy to help.
All right. Does anyone have any questions? See, make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat here.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
like Jenna
Thank
said,
you.
certainly we can follow up. So thank you again so much for joining us this evening and
Yeah.
sharing some of your knowledge with us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, once again, thank you, Jenna, for joining us and sharing some insight from AgSafe and all that you guys do. Well, as we go on tonight, I'll share a little bit more of some of the partners in safety that we can engage with, and certainly AgSafe is at the top of the list, and have folks all over the province. So wherever you are located, there are individuals like Jenna who can assist you and help you out in a lot of these different areas. All right, so with that, we're going to move over and talk into some more detail around the 4-H farm and home safety program. So an obvious place for us to start is, well, why farm and home safety? So I want you to sort of spend a few minutes or wherever you are and thinking about why these topics are important for us to talk about. So I'm going to throw up a couple questions here for you. The first one is, why should we learn about safe practices at home and on the farm? So put some thought into that. Feel free to write your thoughts in the chat, or unmute yourself and you can speak out loud. just anything that comes to mind. Why do you think it's important? Why should we learn about safe practices at home and on the farm?
Reduce injury.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Accidents definitely happen regardless of how safe we be. But, we can help to reduce those accidents and injuries by learning about safe practices. Absolutely. Shirley says to stay safe. Yep, that is our number one priority. Safety is always our number one priority and what we want to do. And a lot of times there's inherent risk in some of the things we do, and we've learned to mitigate that risk, but always keeping up to date on the latest information to make sure we can stay safe is certainly important. Anyone else have anything to share? While you're thinking about that, I'll put up the second question here, and certainly if you have thoughts on this one, feel free to add to it. What safety activities have you done within your 4-H club? So this can be anything, whether it was part of your project or ahead of a club trip or something like that. What sort of activities have you done in your club around safety?
It's Michelle here. To be honest, we haven't really done a whole lot, which is part of my motivation for tonight, is to maybe get some inspiration or some ideas so we can maybe start doing some more safety oriented things in our club.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thanks for sharing that, Michelle. Certainly my hope is that I'll give you some ideas of how your members in your club can be more involved in the safety program and do some different activities to learn about those pieces. So that's great. Anyone else?
I'm just going to ask Riley, what is your position in the club this year?
Oh, I am safety officer, and yeah, I write about like something that's going on, like currently at icy roads, or wear proper footwear.
So this is good information for us to bring back to our club.
Absolutely. No, that's excellent. Thanks for sharing, Riley. And that's great that you're in the safety officer position. That's sort of a direct link to safety within our 4-H program, and being able to share information with your club is really, really important. And like you said, keeping it relevant too to the time of year. Icy road conditions is certainly a big sort of topic right now. So it's good that you can talk about that with your fellow members as well. All right. Anna in the chat says animal safety when in the public realm and at our club at Metchosin 4-H. Certainly, yes. Within 4-H, you guys are really unique in that you're in the public eye a lot of times if you're attending fairs and things like that, and a lot of times you might be the only connection that someone from the public has to animals and to agriculture. So animal safety is very important in all aspects that way. Yeah. Great. Okay, so we'll move on, but certainly, if things pop up in your mind, feel free to share those. And again, hopefully, with the remainder of the presentation here, you'll be able to generate some ideas of how you can integrate safety activities and ideas within your club as well. So let's look at this importance a little bit further. So I've just pulled a few statistics here, which come from the Canadian Agricultural Safety Association. And you might be, a little bit surprised or alarmed by these stats. So Canadian agriculture injury reporting statistics show that there are over 100 farm-related deaths in Canada every year, and almost 10% of those involve children under the age of 18. 84 children and youth lost their lives due to agriculture-related injuries between 2006 and 2015. And farms and ranches are not just work sites, but a place where people of all ages live and play. So certainly within the 4-H program, you are not immune to some of these challenges that way. So it's important that we are keeping safety at the forefront, so we can ensure that everyone stays safe in all the things that we do at home and on the farm. So this was an interesting graphic that was shared with me a little bit ago that helps to sort of accentuate how important it is for safety in these areas, specifically around youth fatalities. So 72% are the child of a farm operator. 36% are under the age of 5 years old, and 80% of children killed on farm are boys, it turns out. The leading causes include machine rollovers, drownings, machine runovers, drownings, and machine rollovers. So, I don't want to, scare you or alarm you with these statistics, but it's important that we're thinking about these things, and they speak to the importance of safety being the top priority when we're, working or playing at home, as well as on the farm. So with that in mind, when we're looking to create a 4-H safety program, we're aiming to raise awareness of farm safety issues, reduce the risk of accidents faced by youth on the farm, at home, ranches, and in rural communities, as well as educate 4-H members and families on safety. So the bottom line is that even if one incident can be prevented, it is worth the effort. And each of us plays an important role in staying safe by educating ourselves as well as others on those safe practices. So I want to look more specifically to safety awareness within 4-H. Sorry, I just saw the chat question from Isabella. How are they drowning? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not entirely sure of the main cause of that, perhaps around, water courses and ponds and things like that on the farm, perhaps that way. But I don't have a specific answer for you on that, but that's a good thing to consider that way. All right, so when we're looking at what safety education and awareness in 4-H looks like, safety education is built into all levels of the 4-H BC program. So you can see here we have all the levels of the program, and you can probably figure out by reading this graphic kind of where you fit in with this. So I want to just cover these in a little bit more detail. So we can begin at the club level. So everyone here tonight is part of a 4-H club, and this is where safety education begins. In fact, safety education is listed as one of the 5 minimum required activities that all 4-H clubs in BC must include as part of their programming each year. Now, each 4-H club is responsible for electing a 4-H member who serves as part of their executive council as the club safety officer. So I know that Riley is a safety officer in their club, but perhaps some of you joining as well are currently club safety officers as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about this role if you are interested in taking on that safety officer role in the future. So club leaders and safety officers work to include safety activities within club meetings, events, and other activities that way. Next up are the districts. So similar to the club safety officer role, each district council, which is consisted of adult leaders from each club, has also elected a safety resource person known as the district safety coordinator. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about this specific role in the next few slides here, but the district supports clubs in safety education along with organizing district safety activities for all clubs to participate in. Now, beyond the district are our 4-H regions. So each of you are part of one of 7 4-H regions, and we have many of those regions represented tonight, as we saw when you made your mark on the map a little bit earlier. So the region supports districts in safety education along with organizing activities such as regional workshop days where safety topics are presented, or even hosting a day specific to safety education. So depending on where you live, you might have participated in a safety day before. And lastly is 4-H BC provincially. So 4-H BC develops resources, which we're going to talk about next, along with opportunities such as this webinar, and supports the other levels of the organization in raising awareness of those safety topics. So another important piece is the administration of the 4-H Safety Awards program, and we're going to spend some time a little later on discussing what that entails. So as I mentioned, there are 2 safety positions that exist within the 4-H BC structure. Those include at the club level, the 4-H Club Safety Officer, which is a youth member, as well as the district level, the 4-H District Safety Coordinator, which is a volunteer adult. So each 4-H club is responsible for electing a member to serve as the safety officer. Now, some clubs have multiple safety officers, and this could be a good way of splitting the duties. For example, a junior and senior member might serve in the role and work together as a team. As I mentioned, a few of you here tonight might be safety officers already, but if you're looking to take on that role in the future, let's talk a little bit about what that job entails. So the role is responsible for raising awareness and working to educate fellow members about safety issues at the 4-H club level, to motivate 4-H members to increase their safety awareness through workshops and activities, assist in obtaining safety information and materials and make them available to your district and your club, and working with other 4-H club safety officers and the district safety coordinator in the organization and presentation of 4-H farm and home safety materials. So the Safety Officer's Handbook, which you can see pictured on my screen there on the right-hand side, is a great resource for anyone who is serving in this role. So it provides details on your role and helpful information in assisting you to plan activities and share safety information within your club over the course of the year, including some suggested activities, such as safety tips for specific times of the year. Further, each district elects a safety coordinator. So this volunteer position is responsible for working with 4-H club safety officers to coordinate safety awareness and activities within the club, community, and district. They work with the regional 4-H council, district club leaders, and 4-H key leaders to encourage ongoing safety and distribution of safety-related information. And they assist the safety officer in the coordination of club, regional, and provincial safety program initiatives. So both of these roles are important to ongoing safety education and awareness within 4-H. That said, even if you aren't in this role currently, we all play an important part to promote safe activities within 4-H and the places where we live, work, and play. So I wanted to go further now in sharing some of the provincial 4-H initiatives around safety education and awareness. Some of them you might be familiar with already and engaged with, but if not, these are some good resources and materials and activities that might be helpful to you in your club. So when we think about safety education, we know that there are no shortage of topics to cover. Each of you are in different projects, have different interests, and depending on where you live, there are some topics that are more relevant to you than to others. So our goal is to ensure that no matter the focus, there remains consistent opportunities for everyone in 4-H to engage in safety awareness topics, which enables us to work, live, and play safely inside and outside of 4-H. So I wanted to spend some time highlighting some of those provincial 4-H initiatives that you can be involved with. So Jenna had talked a little bit earlier about tractors and safeties around farm machinery. So 4-HBC has a few materials specifically around tractor safety. So this topic was identified as an area that is relevant for many of our 4-H communities. So if we go back to our earlier discussion, on why farm safety, we know that farms are not only work sites, but a place where we live and play. So of course, tractors and other machinery are major components of these operations. So this initiative is presented in two parts, first being 2 videos on tractor safety. So these were completed in partnership with provincial safety organizations. So AgSafe BC was involved in that, as well as WorkSafe BC were engaged in creating these videos. So these short video clips outline topics of working safely around tractors, as well as on tractors. So I wanted to take a couple minutes to show you one of those videos now.
Knowing how to live, play, and work safely around farm equipment is essential to life on the farm. And proper training and use of farm equipment is important in keeping everyone healthy and safe. There's nothing better than life on a farm.
But it can be dangerous.
So before you learn to operate any farm machinery, it's important to know how to be safe around them.
And that goes for all different types and sizes of farming equipment.
you have to know the hazards and how to protect yourself and those around you. Working around farm equipment can be very dangerous if you're not aware of all the hazards. When you're working around farm equipment, you have to wear your high vis. High visibility apparel ensures the operator has the best chance of seeing you. Still, tractors have blind spots, and the operator may not know where you are. The operator can't see certain areas from the cab, and this could be fatal if you don't stay clear. Always make eye contact with the operator and wait until the machine is clear before crossing.
If it's a loud machine, shouting might not be enough to get the operator's attention. If possible, use a radio or cell phone to make contact.
Make sure to stay away from the tractor while it's in operation, and never assume the driver can hear or see you.
If you need to approach a machine, signal the operator from a safe distance. Don't approach until they've signaled it's okay and the equipment is turned off.
And always stay clear of any moving parts of the machine, especially the power takeoff or PTO. One of the ways people get hurt is climbing on and off machines. It may sound obvious, but it's true. So you have to be careful. Keep the steps clear of tools, mud, ice, snow, and debris. Face the tractor while you climb and keep 3 points of contact at all times. That's 2 hands and 1 foot, or 2 feet and 1 hand. And climbing on and off a moving tractor is just not smart, so don't do it.
As it may be to catch a ride back on the tractor after a long day, don't do it.
Follow the simple rule. 1 seat, 1 person.
And never, ever ride on any other part of the tractor. Okay, so now you know a little bit about working around tractors, but what about actually using them?
Well, first, you have to be old enough and have proper training.
That's fair. And safety around machinery is incredibly important in order to prevent injuries.
Well, there it is.
Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, ask your 4-H leader.
All right. So I hope that gave you a little bit of insight about safety working around tractors. Certainly it's a good visual representation to learn about those topics there. So that video, along with the working safely on tractors, which we don't have time to show that one tonight, but both of those are available on the 4HBC YouTube channel, so you can find those and watch those there. So to accompany those videos is a workbook on tractor safety as well. So as you can see, the picture of that on my screen there, this guide contains 6 lessons, including topics on pre-trip preparedness, staying safe, driving on the road and on the farm, hazards, and care and maintenance. So with each of these lessons are included activities and take-home materials as well. So each lesson also works in coordination with the video. So those who are learning would be instructed to watch a section of the video, followed by completing a series of activities related to what they just learned. Next up, I wanted to share some resources that 4HBC has around emergency preparedness and response. So certainly, our province has faced and continues to face various natural disasters. So those of you who are joining from the interior, you might be most familiar with forest fires. Some of you that are in the Fraser Valley may have witnessed floods firsthand. And those of you who are on the coast or on Vancouver Island, perhaps you're more susceptible to things like earthquakes. So emergency planning is important, no matter sort of what you're facing. And it's important when, even attending a club event such as a fair or going on a camping trip or something like that. So regardless, it is good practice, no matter the setting, to be prepared and equipped to respond to an emergency. So I wanted to share 2 resources, which are the Farm and Family Emergency Planning Guide, as well as the Club Emergency Planning Guide. So both of these resources include good information on the importance of being emergency prepared for various types of events, along with different things we can do that such as building an emergency kit, creating emergency and evacuation plans, and templates for recording important information. Now, with all of these resources, I will share where you're able to access them in just a couple slides here, so don't worry about that. So sort of along the same lines with emergency preparedness and response, in 2019, 4HBC did a province-wide initiative in creating a tool that all clubs could benefit from, and this was the Emergency Response Tube, which was distributed to all 4-H clubs registered at the time. So this initiative was modeled after the Emergency Response Information Tube developed by AgSafe BC. So the Emergency Response Tube was designed to help clubs prepare for an emergency and provide an easily accessible, durable, and recognizable container to store essential items and information necessary should you need to respond to an emergency. Now, the information contained in this tube would not only be useful to the club, but also may assist first responders to to access important information about your group and or your location of your activity. So while the initial tubes distributed were for club use, you're certainly encouraged to develop your own response tube. So here I have listed all of the contents that we included in these tubes to start, but this is something that could easily be recreated and customized for your use. So in the event of an emergency, you may need to move quickly, so it's helpful to have important items in one place. This can also be a good resource for people responding to an emergency, like I mentioned. For example, a map could be helpful to someone who is responding who might be unfamiliar with the property or potential hazards on that property, similar to what Jenna was talking about a little bit earlier on. So some of you might be familiar, and your club already has one of these tubes, but certainly, again, this is something that you can make personally and have it at your home and your farm as an easily accessible tool in case of an emergency. So another successful province-wide safety initiative was the 4-H First Aid Backpack. So this initiative was first launched in 2015, followed by an update in 2019. So the backpack was introduced to provide clubs with basic first aid supplies and incident reporting tools as a ready-to-go toolkit for any event. So this program is ongoing, ensuring that all clubs in BC have a safety backpack present at club events, along with encouraging clubs and their safety officers to ensure supplies are replenished as necessary. So you may be familiar with your club's safety backpack. It's noticeable, it's red and bright, and that's the point of it. But certainly if you are a newer club and don't yet have a safety backpack, I encourage you to build one, as well as reach out to 4HBC. I think there are plans to distribute a few more of those to some of those newer clubs who weren't in operation in the update in 2019. So the last initiative I wanted to share is the Farm and Home Safety Walkabout. So this is another great tool that can be used to complete an assessment of your home or farm. So it is good practice to ensure your farm or home is safe, including structures, fixtures, safety devices such as smoke detectors, and everything like that. So this checklist helps you to access and maintain these areas around your property. So the walkabout can be used in various ways. You can do so individually, checking out your own home. You can work with other members to conduct a series of walkabouts, or you can even help those in your community to assess the safety of their homes as well. So lots of good use with the safety walkabout. So, of course, the backpack and the emergency response tube are physical items that were distributed to clubs. or something that you can replicate on your own. But all the other resources that I shared are available to download digital versions of that online. So I wanted to just quickly show you how you can go about accessing those. So if you visit the 4-HBC website, oh, the lights have gone off in my office here. Might pause in a second to turn those back on. But if you navigate to the 4-HBC website, if you go to the members tab and under member resources, you'll end up on this landing page that you can see on my screen for secured documents. So upon the successful completion of your 4-H member enrollment this year, you would have received a username and password, which allows members to log in and access a variety of 4-H resources related to your projects or program areas such as farm and home safety. Leaders who are here tonight, you have similar access to the leaders secure pages. And again, a generic username and password would have been provided to you with your completion of your leader enrollment this year. So once you log in, you'll be directed here and you'll see a variety of subfolders for the various projects, as well as other 4-H program areas. And you can see there is a tab right there for farm safety. So if you click on that, you'll see this next box on the right-hand side here, and it'll list all of the available resources that we just spoke about. So you're able to download copies of those PDFs and do whatever you wish with them and utilize them how you'd like. All right, I'm just going to pause for 1 minute here and turn on the lights in my office. So just give me 1 second and I'll be back in a minute. All right, sorry about that. I did want to just pause for a moment if anyone has any questions or comments about what we've discussed so far before we move into to our next section. Certainly, I know this is a lot of information to take in, so yeah, Michelle, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, those safety kits that you were talking about, we're not a new club, but we have like a kind of a put together first aid kit, but who would we email to see if we are eligible or if we're able to get one?
Yeah, so if you just contact just the general toll-free line to the 4-HBC office, they'll be able to assist you that way. I'm not entirely sure on the distribution of those backpacks there and when the plan is to roll out some more, but I know it's been talked about. So certainly our goal and 4-H's goal is to make sure that all clubs have access to one. The emergency response tube was sort of a one-time rollout that way, so those won't be distributed from the provincial office, but certainly you're encouraged to build your own within your club that way. So yeah, hope that helps you.
And Jared, could you just back up one step there on your page? Where did you go to? Members resources? Yeah, members resources. That'll get you to the secure documents landing page. For leaders, it's very similar. If you go to the leaders tab, there's a leaders resources one, and it's the same login page that way. Yeah. So leaders resources, I go there, but nothing comes up that says safety. Am I to click on something else? I'll have to take a look, and I can get back to you on that as to its exact location. Okay. There. Yeah, I wanted to show the members one tonight, so members know they have access, but certainly leaders, you have the same access to all of those resources. So I'll verify for that for you and make sure you know where to get those. That's fine. I can poke around and probably find it as well. Sure. Yeah, there's lots of subfolders and lots of resources to
to find out. So yeah, it might take you a little bit, but our goal with it is to make it as easy as possible. So certainly if it's not in a good spot, let me know and we'll make sure it's more accessible that way. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I was just wondering how the farm is drowned.
Yeah, we got that question earlier from Isabella and Tyson as well. I actually don't know the specifics around that statistic. My thoughts are might be, you know, sort of certain, you know, water courses that are on a property, such as a pond or maybe a stream or a lake or creek or something that runs through the property as well. But I can't say for certain exactly that one. But good question, very good question. Oh yeah, Reagan said an old well as well. Yeah, certainly that could be a result of that. So yeah, great. Okay, I'll carry on here. I know we're just in our last 22 minutes or so before we wrap up. So I want to make sure we have time to get through the rest here, but certainly stop me at any point or we can circle back on some questions at the end as well. So now that we've discussed, you know, some of the resources that are available to you, I wanted to next discuss some ways that you can be involved in safety awareness activities within 4-H. So one way to do that is through the 4-HBC Safety Awards Program. And this was developed to allow you to further your learning on safety topics and also earn 4-H awards while doing so. So this program consists of two parts. First being the Farm Safety Participation Badges, which you can see all the different colors of badges on the screen here. So members can complete various 4-H communication activities such as public speaking, demonstrations, educational displays, and speak and shows on a safety topic to earn a badge. So, you know, you may already be completing these activities as part of your club. So why not explore a safety topic and earn a badge towards that? Now, the fifth badge there, the one in orange you'll see, is the safety walkabout that we just discussed as well. So certainly I encourage you to do an assessment of your home and you can earn a 4-H safety badge for the walkabout as well. Now, these badges, they are available to all ages of members within 4-H. So you might be familiar with, you know, the junior badges for some of your project and program work, but the safety badges are available to all ages. There are no specific score requirements on this. It's simply a participation badge. Now, the second component of the awards program are the Safety Senior Skills, which are awarded to senior age 4-H members who have completed safety-related activities. So these activities can be beneficial in several ways. So you might complete safety programs and certifications, which could be useful, you know, both professionally and within your continued education, such as obtaining a first aid or food safe certificate. You might also have an opportunity to complete activities that can further safety awareness within your club and community. Things like planning a safety workshop, completing the safety walkabout, and creating safety plans such as emergency preparedness, which we already spoke about as well. So there's lots of good options here for members, senior members. You'll see there's a part A and part B that has different areas to focus on. But as 4-H members, you know, you have a very unique opportunity to be able to translate your 4-H work into earning high school credits. So as you can see by this graphic, you can earn 4 grade 11 credits by completing 4 safety activities. So 2 from part A and 2 from part B. And further, this award can then be combined with additional 4-H project-based awards to earn grade 12 credits as well. So if we don't have time to go too much further into the awards end of this tonight, but certainly if you are looking for more information around earning these safety awards, feel free to reach out to myself. Definitely talk to your 4-H leader about the opportunities there, or you can take a look at the 4-H Award Opportunities Guide, which lists all the information and pathways to complete these activities in earning these awards and ultimately high school credits. All right, so to wrap up the webinar tonight, I wanted to discuss a few ways that safety can be integrated into your club activities. So regardless of your role in your 4-H club, either as a member, a leader, as a safety officer, you are not expected to be an expert on all topics. And for that reason, utilizing experts as partners in safety education can be a great benefit in your development and staying safe in the activities that you're involved with. So certainly we heard from Jenna, who's an advisor with AgSafe. So, you know, individuals like that can certainly be beneficial to you as well. So safety education partners can help in a variety of ways. They're knowledgeable people on various safety topics. They've developed resources related to your 4-H work. So these might include things like info sheets, lesson plans, and various activities on a variety of safety topics. And oftentimes they're available for free. So certainly there's lots of 4-H resources around safety that we've talked about, but there's a limitless, you know, library of resources available from some of these safety partners as well. Experts can provide safety education workshops and training locally. So Jenna was based in the Fraser Valley, but certainly AgSafe is one example who have advisors all over the province who might be able to assist you wherever you live in teaching some of these safety topics. And oftentimes these partners, you know, appreciate the opportunity to engage and share their knowledge and expertise within 4-H and in their community. So definitely utilize partners within safety education. So there's so many different partners that you can engage with, but I just wanted to share a few of them that you know I've worked closely with over the last several years and working within the 4-H safety program. So AgSafe, which we've already talked about a lot here, is a great resource. WorkSafe BC as well is an organization that has experts and resources available on a variety of safety topics. You might be familiar with Progressive Agriculture Safety Days. So this organization reaches communities all over North America by offering dedicated safety education days, along with a library of resources. I mentioned some of those statistics from CASA, which is the Canadian Agricultural Safety Association. So they're another organization that focuses on safety education and initiatives within the agricultural sector. So they have a great resource library, many of which you can access directly from their website. And they also have teaching kits that you can order and borrow from them for free. I think you just have to pay for shipping and return, but they'll send those to you. And this way you can sort of engage in lots of different safety activities on a number of different topics. And they're very interactive in the kits that they have. And lastly, I put on here, you know, utilizing industry associations for expertise in specific project areas. So I know a couple of you are in the beef project, you know, BC Cattlemen's or organizations like that. They have experts in the field of cattle and safety around those areas. But also utilizing, you know, local first response services, you know, like police, fire, ambulance, search and rescue. They're all excellent resources that are available to you depending on the different topics that you wish to engage in. And finally, I just wanted to share a few activities that you can bring into your club to learn about different safety topics. So perhaps, you know, this is something that you do at your monthly club meetings, like Riley had mentioned earlier. You know, each of these requires that I'm going to share with you requires very little preparation time. They're lots of fun and can create great discussions about important safety topics. So let's share those with you now. Now, if we were in person, of course, we would actually participate in some of these activities, but it'll be a little bit difficult to do online. So just wanted to share the idea with you and then allow you to take these back to your club and perhaps you might do these with your fellow members. So the first one here, this one's called Juggling Stressors. And it's an interactive way to discuss the topics of managing stress, mental well-being, and physical health. So oftentimes, you know, we think about safety from sort of a physical standpoint, but also from a mental health standpoint, safety is important as well. So how this works is that each member of your group will get a pen and a balloon. Now, each participant will write one thing on their balloon that causes them stress. So maybe that's something like, you know, homework or an exam coming up or your 4-H speech that you're dreading having to present next week, any of these things that might cause stress. Now, working in small groups, one person will begin to juggle their balloon. Slowly, the other group members will begin to add more balloons, which act as stressors to that person's juggling. Now, eventually, you can probably imagine that the juggler will not be able to manage that many balloons. So what might we do? Well, perhaps you could eliminate some of those stressors. So prioritizing, what are some things that maybe we move to the side to focus on other important priorities to reduce stress? Or maybe you ask someone for help. So the other members in your group can help you to juggle those stressors. So this is just, a fun way to simulate all the different priorities we have in our lives and how we can manage our own mental well-being. Next one I wanted to share here is a visual impairment obstacle course. So this is another fun activity that simulates the difficulty performing basic tasks due to a visual impairment. Now, impairment may be caused by things like drugs or alcohol, or could be a disability that someone faces, which may impact things like our balance, reaction time, and coordination. So there's an organization called Drunk Busters. They have impairment goggles that you can purchase, but they are quite expensive. So there are ways that you can make impairment goggles at home. So if you just Google how to make impairment goggles, you'll get all these different I guess I would call them recipes for how you could build your own goggles using household materials. Now, the obstacle course portion, that can include anything that you like, things like, navigating through pylons, stacking cups, throwing a ball, anything like that, just to sort of, test things that are more difficult if your vision is impaired. I wanted to share this activity as it's sort of a little bit different in sort of the topics we've talked about tonight, but this one focuses on survival safety. So maybe your club is going on a camping trip or a group hike or something like that. So this might be a useful activity before you head out. So in this activity, participants work in groups to determine what are the best items to pack for a trip, ensuring the basic human needs are met, including shelter, food, and water. So first, each group is given a scenario. So here you can see an example I've included. Now, of course, not every outdoor situation is going to be the same. So depending on what you're doing, you're going to need to pack different supplies. So each group would be given a package of supplies, which would include things for shelter, such as, a tent or a jacket or something like that. We need water, so it might include a water bottle, as well as a variety of food items. So you can see just some of the items that I've showed on the screen, might be included in these packages. So it would be up to the group to decide based on the scenario that they have, which item from each category they would select for their upcoming trip. And, this activity can be used for different topics as well, but it's a good sort of small group activity that way. Now, lastly, I just wanted to share a few other activities. So first we have stop, drop, and roll. So of course, this concept is one of the most basic when we talk about fire safety. So to simulate stopping, dropping, and rolling, you can use a fire safety vest and a carpet. So what happens here is you can see by the picture on the right-hand side, this kid's wearing the bright yellow vest that has all these little red flames attached to it. So participants would put on the vest, they'd roll around on the ground, on the carpet, and the flames have Velcro on it. So the idea here is to stop, to drop, to roll, and roll around until you've extinguished the flames. And again, there are organizations where you can purchase these made vests, but certainly this is something that you can make at home as well. Next one I wanted to talk about is called bacteria. And this activity is an engaging way to learn about how germs and other surface bacteria travels. So this is a product called GlowGerm, which you can order online. And it's an invisible substance that will only be visible by black light. So you can use the dust to sort of dust it on different items. Maybe it's like a soccer ball or a baseball or something like that. Pass it around between people. and then turn on that black light to show them how that bacteria has traveled between everyone. So certainly, you know, this has been an important topic to all of us over the last several years. So this is a good way of showing how germs travel. And then the last one I wanted to share here is called Thumb Ball Trivia, which is a fun spin on a trivia game. So the ball I've shown here is specific to questions around emergency response, but this could definitely be recreated with any topic, whether it's safety related or not. So again, you can purchase these pre-made balls that way, or you can easily make your own using, you know, the shapes on a soccer ball are perfect for this, or any other sports ball. And what you can do is you can write different questions on that, pass it around the group, and whichever your thumb lands on would be the question that individual has to answer. So those are just some fun activities that you might be able to incorporate. All right, so I know we're coming up to 8:30 pretty quickly here. That's all the information that I had to share. So that brings us to the end, but I did want to open it up if anyone had any questions or anything else they wanted to share before we close things out tonight. All right, well, I will stick around for a few extra minutes if anyone does have anything that comes to mind that they want to ask about. But I did want to thank you very much for participating tonight. I do want to ask you to just take a couple minutes here and complete a short evaluation survey. So I'm just going to link it right in the chat, so you can go to that directly before you log off tonight, or I will send an email to you with that as well. But certainly we do appreciate your feedback on these webinars. So lastly, I did want to encourage you all to get involved in these areas as part of your 4-H club. And I know that many of you are already engaged in safety. Excuse me. So whether that's becoming a safety officer, you know, completing the safety awards program, lots of good opportunities there, participating in other safety workshops and activities, or raising awareness amongst your peers within your 4-H club, you can all, you know, be champions for safety education awareness within your club and community. So again, I want to thank you all for participating. I'll stick around, but have a great rest of your evening if you're going to log off now. So thank you so much.
Thank you.